What's up guys, welcome back to another video. The day has finally come for my 1991 Pontiac Firebird's V6 engine to receive all the horsepower it deserves. So with one last rev of the stock configuration, let's get to building. First off, let's take a look at the stock engine here. It's a bone stock 3.1 liter 60 degree V6. Has about 126,000 miles on it and it runs like a top. A few of the upgrades we'll be doing today include an Edelbrock 3790 camshaft, 1.6:1 roller tip rockers from Comp Cams, stiffer valve springs from Crane, headers from China, a vacuum boost gauge, wideband O2 sensor, and more. Step 1, of course, is disassembly. One of the things that won't be going back on this motor is the smog pump. This shoves air down the exhaust pipe, and the headers don't have provisions for it to work. Thankfully, we don't do emissions checks where I live, so this isn't really an issue. Disassembly actually wasn't that bad. This engine is fuel injected, so it's a bit more complex than a carb-based engine, but it's not new enough to be crazy complicated. It's got just enough wires and sensors for the EFI to function. My method of keeping track of parts gave quite a few people a chuckle when they saw it, but it does work. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Some of the exhaust manifold bolts were a bit too stubborn to get out with anything but a die grinder, but eventually we got it stripped down to just the block. This engine is in such good shape I have no plans to rebuild the bottom end of this engine, just a bit of head work. Next, everything that was taken off was cleaned. There were more than a few gaskets leaking on this engine, so everything has a protective coat of oil to wash off. After the valve covers were cleaned, they got a good wire brushing to remove a little bit of rust they had here and there, and then wiped down with isopropyl alcohol and shot with a coat of Duplicolor's cast coat iron colored engine paint. This paint has a subtle bronze color that I wasn't really expecting, but I actually really like it. Next up, we disassembled the heads with a valve spring compressor I think my grandfather has had since the 60s. Then we filled a tub with water and almost a half gallon of muriatic acid, and rather than have the heads hot tanked, I figured I'd give this a shot. It actually worked really well, especially in the corroded coolant passages. And just to be clear, this water-acid mixture you see here was crystal clear before putting the heads in. All that brown, gunky stuff and the bubbles, that all came off of the heads. While those were stewing, the valves needed a bit of cleaning, so I chucked them in a drill press and used some sandpaper to remove buildup and polish them up a bit. The exhaust valves ended up having a little bit of pitting on them, so I had them reground. Once the heads were clean, I gave the internal parts a quick coat of oil to prevent flash rusting, and the external parts got a coat of the same Duplicolor engine paint that I used on the valve covers. We rebuilt the heads with new valve springs, retainers, and seals on both the intake and exhaust valves. From the factory, only the intake valves had the valve seals. The intake manifold and plenum were then sandblasted with a fine coal slag, washed out, and also given a coat of that same Duplicolor engine paint. And with that, we're ready to begin reassembly, which we will cover in the next video. Spoiler alert, things unfortunately stopped going well after this video. So if you like this video, hit like, get subscribed, and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, and I will see you guys in the next one.